We'll get to Ezekiel Elliott in just a second, but first, Phillies, Cubbies, Bryce Harper earning all that money, blasting a walk-off grand slam.
Upper deck grand slam walk-off?
Walk-off.
6 runs in the 9th. Philly, huge win for them. I mean, he got all this one now.
Watch it and then run it.
And why don't the Phillies wear those uniforms as often as possible? Those are gorgeous uniforms.
Mike
that
Smith.
helmet, yep, that's... I was about to say that. Good job. Like it. Good job. I love it. Good job, Bryce Harper.
Carlton.
I wasn't
not doing any interviews after the game.
Braves and Mets, Ronaldo Acuna Jr. leaping at the wall to rob J.D. Davis of a home run.
Oh, following up that Rookie of the Year campaign. Another strong year. Let's go ahead and snatch that one. That's a real home run robbery. Would have been over the fence. He got it.
They got some really good athletes playing in the outfield in baseball.
Yeah.
An influx of young talent.
He's an exciting player, man, for back-to-back surprising years.
Here we go, guys. The play of the night. By far, Ravens, Packers, Lamar Jackson. Just making guys look silly. It was called back, but, man, what a great play.
I had to call Michael Vick, man. Mike, I didn't know you was back playing, man.
Looked just like him.
Look just like him.
I mean, everything about this looks like Vick.
The thing that I like is it's not a called run. This run was forced out of him. He drops back in the pocket. The rush ends come up the field, so he climbs back into the pocket, and then he just does what Lamar does in open
avoids that
field.
contact at the end. Nice little hurdle.
Washington, Cincy, Dwayne Haskins under pressure in the pocket. 55-yard touchdown to Robert Davis.
I actually think this play might be more impressive than the Lamar play because he's facing that rush. He delivers a perfect ball, but he has to wait to throw it for the receiver to get open, and he does.
And they read the safety, and once they got the blitz pickup on the left side, I like how he just came a little bit to his right, just enough, put enough air on it, read the safety's eyes, knew he was a little shallow, threw it right over the top. Big-time play by Haskins.
Nice bounce-back game from Haskins after those 2 picks in week 1 of the preseason.
We'll talk more about Haskins in a bit. Moving on, though, now to Ezekiel Elliott, who continues his holdout down in Cabo. If there was any doubt as to if he's working out down there, there shouldn't be. The Cowboys' all-pro running back is apparently shedding weight. Reportedly weighing in the low 220s, his lowest weight since his rookie year, the rookie year where his 1,600 rushing yards led the league to go along with 15 touchdowns. Maybe we should all go down to Cabo. See, how good will the Cowboys be if Zeke ends his holdouts?
I mean, I just know a lot of people went to Cabo and lost a lot of other stuff, you know. But the Cowboys, I mean, they are set up with Zeke being there. Now, they need everyone healthy on their defensive line, but they're set up to make a championship run. They're set up to try to win their division. After last year, they suffered through enough adversity in these first 3 years with Zeke and Dak. Yes, they're ready to make that push. He should be. If you look at Dak, the way he played the last 8 games of the season, winning a playoff game, you'd have to be. If you're a Cowboys fan, like, this is not Cleveland, where you've been losing, and then all of a sudden you got an influx of talent after a good season. No, this has been a steady build. All right, they are built to compete for championships in this window with their younger players, and I like the fact that he's getting down to 220. The reason why is because he's in running shape. I'd much rather him be in running shape. In his rookie year, people don't remember, he was coming off a couple injuries from Ohio State, so he didn't have a great workout season leading up to. How many yards he rushed for as a rookie?
1,600.
1,600. And he didn't, and that was one thing in talking to his dad. They were really looking forward to year number 2, not disregard the suspension, but because he had a full offseason. Zeke is a workaholic. He loves working out. He loves running. He's got amazing speed. I like the fact that he's going to keep his weight down lower, especially for younger players. I don't like to see the weight fluctuation, especially if the weight goes up. It's easier to put the weight on once we start the season.
All right, so I'll talk about what this means for the Cowboys in a moment. But first of all, I'm not saying this isn't true. I'm simply saying that we are now to the phase of the negotiations where it's leaked to the media. Best shape of my life.
No,
Look at what you guys are missing.
We saw 230 on the scale back in April. He showed us that, which means he lost 10 pounds in a month. But you're right,
well,
we have not seen 220.
It means we're being told he lost 10 pounds in a month, right?
Exactly.
And so,
exactly.
and by the way, it's probably true. But I mean,
you're right.
This is the just reminding
we
you
have
guys.
to give Zeke benefit of the doubt.
Oh, I believe
his career's on the line.
Yes.
All he's got to do, Jenna, is what when he wakes up in the morning?
Work out.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, so to think that this, we get a lot of reports, but to think this one is closer to the truth, I would just lead you to believe Zeke is too responsible as far as his body. He knows what's at stake, and he knows that he can miss real time.
And he's trying to, I think, remind the Cowboys, think about this first month of the season. Think about the fact that the defensive line is injured or suspended for 2 to 4 games to start that year, depending on how some of those injuries play out. We know Quinn is suspended for 2, but then is going to be potentially playing with a club on his hand. PUP list for Crawford, PUP list for DeMarcus Lawrence. So you have injury issues there. Amari Cooper, all of a sudden, dealing with the heel issue, the plantar fascia issue, and he will likely play, but maybe not be 100% early in the season. And think about who maybe could just carry you against the Giants, Washington, and Miami. Think about who could be the difference if you're not going to be trotting out a top 5 defense those first few weeks of the season. You're not going to necessarily get the Dak you had the final 8 games fully functional with Amari. If Amari's not fully functional, think about who you would be relying on. Me. And think about what this season looks like with what your schedule is after, you know, the 13 weeks that follow the first 3 games of the season. And can you dig yourself out of 1 and 2 when it should be 3 and 0? To me, that's what this matters. Because if the Cowboys start the season with no Zeke, with the defensive line suspensions, with Amari and injuries, not 100%, they are not demonstrably better than the Giants. We laugh at the Giants, we talk bad about the Giants, but the Cowboys without Zeke, with DeMarcus Lawrence, Hanford,
this is the NFL. Everyone's got talent.
Right. And one of the reasons we're like, well, the Cowboys are way better than the Giants is the Giants don't have Amari Cooper, the Giants don't have Ezekiel Elliott, even though they got Saquon. But if the Cowboys don't have those guys, they're not that different. And so that is a risky game the Cowboys are playing in that regard.
Is Zeke coming back enough to overcome all the problems they have on defense? Amari Cooper's foot, wherever Dak may be to start the season. Is Zeke coming back enough to overcome all the other issues they have?
Absolutely, because you don't need Amari 100% of Zeke's there. I don't need all my defensive linemen and the lack of depth that they don't have any depth. And also, who gonna tackle Barkley, man? I need someone for time and possession. Because the Giants, they can pound out a bunch of first downs in that first game. We've seen it last year. Saints, as much promise they had leading into the season, all the experience, Drew Brees, Sean Payton, Tampa Bay gave it to them that first game of the season. And when you start talking about home field advantage, and I normally don't do this, and Coach Mangini's going to be upset. Nick, look at Dallas' schedule in December. Because I think that it says some things like...
Oh, at Chicago... Okay. Rams, at Philly, and then they close out against Washington. So 3 straight games against playoff teams from last year.
To speak how important Zeke being there early and in games that you should be winning, if they're supposed to reach their potential, they need Zeke there. Zeke can cover up for lack of depth at the defensive line. And, man, Barkley can eat up the whole clock in that first game, and Dallas could start off, and that would be disappointing, starting off 0-1 without Zeke.
Right, Janet, to answer your question, my opinion, he can cover that up temporarily and against the right opponents. Week 4 at New Orleans, you got to be fully functional to be in that game. That's going to be maybe the toughest game on your schedule in New Orleans on national television. But week 1 at home against the Giants, okay, you maybe don't have to have Amari and all your defensive linemen if Zeke's there. So temporarily, he can be a salve to the wound. But if they don't have those guys at 100% or at all, and don't have Zeke, then all of a sudden you're not no big favorite over the Giants.
Right.
And so that is the one place Zeke has leverage. The one pressure point is, can you survive going 0-2? It's not the 93 team.
I was just going to say, Jerry Jones keeps bringing up 1993 again, and it's completely different.
They had 6 Hall of Famers. On that team. This team does not.
All right, let's take a break. Coming up, are Patrick Mahomes and Carson Wentz the future of the league? Both of them? That's next on First Things First.
What were you doing in 93?
93, this is...